Alright, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is give your minis a bath. I might think I'm off my rocker here, but just follow along. We're going to pour some boiling water to a big bowl here. Doesn't have to be boiling, just really hot. Set it over the stove for a few minutes here. Then, I'll get some Cry Havoc miniatures here. Just going to give them a bath. And there's a couple reasons why you want to do this. One is a lot of the times the miniatures will be bent, or they'll be in the wrong configuration. Maybe they'll be bent over too far. And the hot water is going to loosen them up enough so you can actually bend them back into place. A lot of the times the miniature will have a staff or something like that, and you'll be able to straighten it out. The other thing is a lot of the times when they come out of manufacturing, they'll have some chemicals left on them, and this can actually hurt the paint job once you get started. The paint might look a little funny, it won't hold quite right, so we're getting all the extra chemicals off. So we're just going to pour a little detergent in here. Suds them around. Ooh, that's hot. A little bit more. We're going to let this set just for a few seconds, and then we'll scrub them. Now that the water's cooled down just a bit, we're going to go ahead and scrub these. So just get an old toothbrush, really anything with bristles will do, and just give it a quick brush. That's all you're going to do. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it. You're just trying to wipe away any of that excess chemical, like I said. Just get them really cleaned up. And this may seem like a step too far, but it really can have a lasting impact on the final product. So if you have the time, I do recommend doing this with most miniatures games. So this is probably going to take a while. As you see, I have quite a few miniatures here, so I'm going to go ahead and scrub up the rest of these and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, we've given our miniatures a bath, we've washed all the chemicals off, and step 2 would be removing mold lines from miniatures. A lot of times the miniature sculpt will be good, you won't see mold lines. The mold lines are just the extra bit of plastic that aren't quite meant to be there. Let me show you an example here. We have this worm. And let's see if we can get the camera to focus. And there's a bit of extra plastic. You can see there's a seam here that goes up. And we're just going to cut a bit of that away with the X-Acto knife. So you can use either an X-Acto knife or box cutter, depending on how big the miniature is. Just be careful not to cut yourself. We're just going to get rid of it so it's not as noticeable. Let me show you another example here. Here's a miniature, and you can see at the very top here, let's get this one focused, that right there's a bit of extra plastic that was never removed. So let's just quickly take that off. There. Just a bit better. Makes it so there's not any funky nubs or anything when you finally get to painting. The worst thing to happen is you finish your paint job and you see one little tiny piece of plastic that's not supposed to be there, and then you have to cut it off and repaint it. No fun. So this is the next step that you're going to want to do. Like I said, not all games will require it, but it's good to at least look before you get to the final step. Let's move on to that. We're going to move on to the final step of getting these miniatures ready for painting, and that's going to be priming. Priming is usually done with either a flat black or flat white spray can. You can of course get different colors, but typically those are going to be your go-to. In terms of brands, the only huge recommendation I have is not to use this, and this is Rust-Oleum. Usually you can find these in a lot of hardware stores, but you're going to get mixed results with it. I'd steer clear any other brands. Krylon's a good one. Just don't use this stuff. Let me set that down. And the biggest mistake you can make when you start priming your miniatures is getting too close. This can cause pooling in the crevices. If your miniature doesn't have a lot of detail and you start to get spray paint pooled in those cracks, it's going to kind of look like a blob at the end. So you want to stay at least 12 inches away in light, short bursts. You only really need to get 90 to 95% of the miniature covered in the primer. The rest will be taken care of once you get to your actual painting. So give it a quick shake. And then just quick bursts. And again, don't worry about getting every single inch covered in paint. Like I said, 90%, you'll probably be all right. You're just trying to get enough of a coating so that when you finally get to using your paints, that it has something to stick to. Otherwise, I don't know if you've ever painted a miniature without priming before, but it'll kind of almost slide off the miniature. It has nothing to grab onto. This almost creates a canvas for you to work with. So I'll go ahead because I have quite a few miniatures here and it's going to take a bit of time to get these primed. I'll finish these up, let them dry, and I'll show you the final result. Hey guys, sorry I don't have a mic in for this part, but here's the final spray painted minis here. And this is kind of what you're looking for. You can see that there's not paint caked on anywhere. It's almost like a matte kind of finish. It's a really thin layer. It's almost just been misted on. And some of these miniatures you can see even that there's a little bit of gray there in some spots. And that, like I said, that's okay. You don't need to get 100% of the miniature done. But this is what they should look like. There shouldn't be any goop. They shouldn't be shiny or slimy. And this is going to be the end result. This will make it much easier once you finally get to painting, having a nice primed miniature to start with. That's it for this video. We'll see you guys again soon.